All right, with Candace Egan, Desert Bells is the winning screenplay from the Female Festival. Off-road driving, an all-woman desert rally. This is kind of a world that many people don't know, including myself. Is this something you do personally?
I would love to say that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I have the guts. I have talked to some drivers and watched it through all their media. And yeah, no, you got to be really, really rugged, really good with some wrenches probably as well. But I stumbled across it doing some research for a different script, and I found the actual Rebelle Rally, which is a real, basically, it's the same, roughly 8 days. I pulled some of the structure of what they do into my script. But yeah, I've met some of them, studied up on it, and was just impressed what they're able to do. But no, I don't think I'd be able to pull it off. Not for 8 days.
So tell people what it is. What is it exactly?
So the rally, which is the world that I set the story in, is um and rally is the right term. It's not a race. So we have things you most people may have heard of the Dakar rally and those kinds of deserty, dramatic Baja 1000, that sort of thing. And they're racing against time. The
Yeah.
other kind of rally, which is usually done on the road, is where you have checkpoints and you have to be precise. So your time, you can't race to the checkpoint, right? So this
Yeah.
particular desert race rally is using the precision. A lot of it's precision driving. Can you get to this location? The difference is you're in the desert. There isn't necessarily a road. So you have to find the checkpoint out in the middle of the desert using coordinates. And then, depending on the specific event, time that you get there within 3 minutes. So it's, I think, quite an interesting challenge that they do where they're trying for precision. They're trying to orient with maps and a compass because there's no electronic support
Yeah.
and find these flags, like find the flag out in the middle of the Mojave Desert.
That's crazy. They should. I'm surprised that they're not. It's not like nobody's made some capitalistic enterprise on television with this.
I know it's like they do their own coverage, so they have their own media team. So if you know about it, you can find it. But yet they are ripe for an ESPN
Yeah,
or some
hundred
sort of
percent.
sports network to come in and find them,
Yeah,
which I imagine one day that will be the case. That and in my story, that's kind of what I made up is that interest was gaining and
yeah,
use that to kind of drive it forward because that's what I see when I watch their
yeah.
coverage. I'm like, yeah, because I also spent time working in local television. I'm like, oh, there's some things you could do with
I
this that
guess
would
it's
be
hard. It would
better.
be hard to film, right? Because well, I guess they do it, but because of the sand and like
Um,
the NASCAR and the F1, they're like kind of one little area.
right. So they do have some challenges with that because they tend to be stuck with the start and the
Yeah,
finish, and then they'll do like a package during the day. My script, I put a camera in the car like they do in F1 and some of this. And I kind of feel like you could probably do that and have, GoPros running so you could get some of the
yeah.
action while they're actually on the course, which is pretty, I think would be really dramatic and interesting.
So this story is, I guess it's like the main character's father dies, and then her racing partner is gone as well. So then she this decides to like, I don't know, it's a kind of like a grief race in a sense, I guess.
I think yeah, I think it's grief. It's she's kind of was in the mid they were in the middle of the process of prepping for doing the rally when her
Yeah,
father dies. So the scene that was actually recorded is kind of getting at the fact that when she's taking over his business, discovers he's not been paying his bills. And so
yeah,
she's kind of in a precarious situation where she also feels compelled to race because she's got to work deals with the sponsors because she owes them a lot of money. So there's that money angle. That's the sort of, higher level surface one. And then
yeah,
underneath it's, I think I felt like it was her chance to do this her way.
yeah. Well, it's a great idea, right? And it's also like it's also the co-sponsor with the race as well, right? They get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if somebody was willing to really make this happen, it would have so much product placement because you need those
mm,
specialized tools to do it, right? And I would envision, I met the gal who kind of owns the Rebelle Rally. We didn't talk this about this particularly, but it would be a natural to partner with them
yeah,
and actually get footage on course. And they now do trainings and they do preliminary events. So one could get the feel of the race and the
yeah,
competition in a situation that wouldn't throw problems to the actual event because
yeah.
it's a practice, you know. So I can see how that all could work, but somebody's got to be the one to want to jump in there and help make that happen.
Well, technology, I was thinking about it, like because of the drone cameras, right? Technology caught
Yes.
up with this, right? And now
Yes.
someone just needs to fund it and think that there's going to be make money on it, right? So
Yeah, and but like we said earlier, it's such an unusual event
yeah,
that my suspicion, I mean, people get into the Netflix version of F1. So it's
yeah,
almost like you could, I'm sure, build an audience because it's so scenic. They have a photo collection. So I went to an event where they were actually exhibiting photos from the competition, and
yeah,
it's such a beautiful set. I mean, there's so many things about it. It's
yeah.
visual, it's competition, it's women, so it's unusual.
So
Yeah,
this is an all woman, like they do all like not to sound sexist, but this is just a female race.
it's all women, and the history that I've heard for that is because the gal who runs it, who her name Emily, forgot what her last name is, she competed with men on teams like this.
Yeah,
And she was feeling like there wasn't a conduit for women to get into the sport.
yeah,
So she created this as a way, so that's why they have class sessions, they have training, there's a whole program to get interested women involved in doing it with her goal of getting them out competing and providing access. And maybe for some of them, I think they're pretty serious, they probably do compete in other things. Ironically, a lot of the big manufacturers sponsor teams now. So you have Toyota with they'll have like their women engineers from Toyota Off-Road. You have Jeep, you have several of the others, so that the women are actually road testing or, off-road testing the vehicles for the manufacturers. So they kind of are buying in because they're getting benefit out of
yeah.
sponsoring some teams.
So
I'm
tell
trying
me
to get my
about
son
like
out. Sorry.
so tell me about your screenwriting progress. Like how long when did you start writing screenplays?
Um, so I got decided to get serious in about 2019. I am a professor of media and film, so I'd been doing documentaries, corporate
Where
scripts.
are you professor at, if I
I'm
don't
at
mind me asking?
California State University, Fresno.
Okay.
And so I had dabbled in scripts, shorts just for my students for exercises. And then I
Yeah.
had a friend that, is a professional writer. And anyway, I thought, maybe I should try walking the walk, not just talking the talk. And did a sabbatical where the university paid for me to go deep and learn more about narrative screenwriting. And I had such a, I guess, fun time. I enjoyed it so much, and I got more ideas. And so it just launched me into this whole, I don't know, second career angle that now I'm, this many years later, several scripts later. Um, Still haven't sold anything, but have an option on something, other things that look
That's great.
promising. So,
So what did you do on your sabbatical? Like what did you I'm just curious what you did.
well, it was it, the timing was weird, but worked well. It was during the pandemic. So being a writer during the pandemic actually worked pretty well.
It
So
worked well for a lot of people, yeah.
yeah, so I had people I knew, like I have a friend who's won an Academy Award that I get introduced to by another friend that used to be an executive. and some other professors. And so I talked them into being advisors. And so then I wrote a script and got these, their input, guidance, feedback. So it was very tailored, like a, private coaching session, actually. But
Yeah, yeah, that was like people pay thousands of dollars for that, right? So
yeah, so I got paid in this case. That was the
yeah,
twist. I got paid to do it. So, but they've, my students have benefited because I've been doing a lot, even though I'm not specifically teaching screenwriting class, I'm still talking to them about screenplays. I guest lecture on what I'm doing.
yeah.
So I can, it's trickling in all over the place. So, yeah, so I was very fortunate. I took advantage of an opportunity that you get as a professor. And that's kind of launched me to have that, focused basically. Technically, it was 4 months, but I never wait till the start date. It was like
But also
six
force you
months.
to write a script too, right?
Yes, that was my goal.
Yeah,
I want to write a narrative feature and
yeah,
get it, a complete script. And I was able to get a few drafts through that. I've not done anything with that one. It's not been submitted anything because I'm letting it sit because I'm going to go back now
yeah.
with all this more knowledge and experience and do, rewrites and punch it up. But I still think there's merit to the story.
Yeah.
But it'll be way better having all these years and scripts under my belt. So I figure its time will come and it'll get some attention.
Well, you guys, what school's over, right? For as we're doing this
Um,
podcast.
we're actually going. My last class is Friday, and then regular class. My class only meets on Fridays. They stop next week, so we're into finals, and we've got the last couple weeks of the fall
Gotcha.
spring semester.
And you've been doing it for a bit. You've been a professor for a long time.
I started full time in 2004.
Okay.
Part-time before that. I actually worked at the university running their video studio before that. So I've been there, university, I've been there a long time. This sun situation.
So
There we
what do
go.
you? Oh, she's moving. Uh,
Sorry about that.
no
That
problem.
blurry sun problem was the videographer me does not, and the director does
It's like,
not
well, I
like the
guess
lighting.
I'm assuming you're in a nice coat, like a nice pleasant place. That there's some.
Yeah, I'm actually in my great room of my house. I live in the foothills on the way to Yosemite.
Oh, okay.
So lovely, lots of windows, but then you get these weird shafts of light all of a sudden where you least expect it. So
So what have have the kids changed in the last 20 years?
yeah, I think so. Although I'm really impressed with the last few years. Once we kind of started getting out of the sort of pandemic slump, there was
Yeah,
definitely an impact on that. Some of the students have now. And maybe it's that they've gotten out of that and they're reinvigorated. So I am impressed with the capabilities of some of my current students. But it's changed some, but then I guess not. And I think one of the sort of fallacies that I've noticed since I started teaching and I still think applies is that don't make the assumption, one, that all of these young people are experts at all of the sophisticated software we use for film production and media production.
yeah,
They're great at apps and social, and a lot of time aren't that computer literate because I think the assumption's been, oh, they know how to run a computer. We don't need to help them learn. So then I'm sometimes helping
that's
those that
interesting.
are struggling. So
Yeah,
you can't assume that. You do find some expert students. The other thing is that they only watch 5 minutes, or now people are probably assuming they're watching verticals. So what I'm
yeah,
hearing from my colleagues, the younger folks in class absolutely are not interested in verticals. They aren't flocking to that. Um, and I find if they're really dedicated and want to get in the field, they will watch all kinds of movies. And because they have access to things that we didn't when I was
yeah.
younger, they can go all the way back to classic movies. And if you talk to them, they'll be telling you about watching things that are 20, 30, 40 years old in the mix of things that are current. And they're not
Yeah.
just watching superhero movies. So they will sit and watch programs. I'll hear them get into, their binging on some series.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that only short form is of interest. They actually are
No.
interested in all of the forms. So that's
Well,
probably a change.
they listen to like 2 hour podcasts, right? Like it's like long, like
Yeah. They're just I actually they're less defined. Like, their music tends to be broader,
there's more
so
access, right? It makes sense because there's more access,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they take advantage of it.
Yeah.
At least this many of the students that I'm
That's smart.
around.
Yeah. The acquisitive. Yeah. It is kind of it is an interesting time. No, I was just curious. So you're okay. So you started in 2019 and then you did the sabbatical. You wrote like a kind of a spec script, got
Yeah.
feedback. And then after that, you decided to keep writing new ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to do television.
Yeah.
And I took a 2-week immersive class in TV writing, which was fun, and wrote something out of it. Oh, that's kind of cool. And then had another story. The one story that ties to my actual real life a little bit. That I wrote it as a half-hour comedy. It was about a middle-aged woman going back to college to play tennis, of all things, right?
Okay.
Which I actually did. It's possible at community college. You can't do it at NC2A level, but you can do it at community college. Um, and then we've got the writer's strike. We have all those things that happened, and I started to realize I don't think where I want to be is television. It's not realistic. And the more I got into it, the more I got into feature, narrative feature structure. And,
Yeah.
you're telling it's like an incident within the life of a character. It's not their whole life every day, right?
Yeah.
And I had more ideas. And then I actually recently finally finished taking that tennis-based pilot and turning it into a feature. So it's been a 4-year process to get it to a
That's
feature.
another great idea. Like it
Yeah.
really is. Yeah.
And that one I suspect has a little more potential than the cost of it to
Yeah.
produce is, you would need a school.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then,
there is a debate. I was listening the other day that there is a debate about the age of certain, even Division 1 kids, right? Like football players. One of them was like 27, and they're like,
yeah,
he
well,
shouldn't be playing, like because that's not for he's not a kid, right? But
well, and they
he's
also,
eligible to play, right?
right.
Yeah,
Um, NC2A tennis has an upper limit of 26 years old.
26, right? But I guess when you play
It's not
football,
it's
yeah,
not blanket on other sports because I remember when I was going to community college, I
yeah,
had a class and I did a report on older athletes, and there was a woman swimmer, 50 something, at an NC2A pro, might have been like Division 2 or
yeah,
3. So it depends on the sport, I guess, if there's an age limit. For some reason, tennis has this cutoff date, and it's probably because they figure that, which I wonder if that will change now that they have this, everything has changed in sports. They're basically paying the students, right?
well, yeah,
So the
well,
idea
good on
that,
them, yeah,
yeah, I
about
supported it, but the
time,
idea that a tennis player's prime, they're going to start getting paid,
yeah.
that was probably the reason. And we actually
Well,
had a student that got booted
I
out
can't
for
see
that.
the student tennis player making money, but like like these football and basketball players who have these $1 billion contracts with the networks, they should get a little piece of that pie. It was
Right.
ridiculous. They were
Yeah.
slaves, basically, as far as I
Yeah. Well, but now you have a lot of pros. So this is my sport, so I watch it. You
yeah,
have a lot of pros who came out of college, and that didn't happen very often, because
tennis
the
or
prime
pro,
age was so young. Well, now 8 older players. I mean, you got players into their 40s that are still playing as top level pros.
yeah,
That's changed the dynamics. So there's a lot of players that either went to college and are now on the pro tour, or because if they're not penalized, they can still be going to college and be playing pro matches for money.
Yeah.
and get
No,
paid.
so they like in my generation, there was like Jennifer Capriati. I think she was like 14, and then you had
Oh
Martina
yeah.
Navratilova and Monica Seles. They were all teenagers, right,
Yes.
when they started,
Yes.
and
And
then
and then they would age out and
by
retire
the time they
by
were 30,
23
they
or
were
4. Yeah, if they ever even got to 30, they were
yeah
probably done playing. And now you've got there's quite a few, I don't know the actual number. There's a lot of pros, top pros in their 30s. And several of them are mothers who took time off to have their babies and then they come back. It doesn't mean they're the number one player, but they're up there making money in the
they could
top
make money.
level.
Yeah,
So it seems like maybe the NC2A needs to, if they maybe they've dropped that. I haven't heard that age limit because it doesn't matter anymore. We're not
yeah,
worried about amateur pro getting too close together. So,
yeah. No, yeah,
which in tennis, probably you're not. I mean, at the community college, it works because those teams go from really hot, amazing folks that are on their way to a 4 year, going to a 4 year and being a teaching pro in tennis to people who just, hey, we need someone on the team. Can you come out?
yeah,
So the opportunity to do community college sports there's, it's a little
yeah,
more open so that, there are women who are golfers who are older and
yeah.
I wasn't the first person at the school I did this at that did it at an older age. So it's kind of this
That's
thing.
great that you did that. Well,
Yeah, it
no,
was
because like,
fun.
correct me if I'm wrong, but then you like usually go to a community college or a junior college to try to get a scholarship to a bigger college, right?
Right. So
Yeah,
some of the gals I played with, that was part of their plan, right?
yeah,
They were trying to get so they could get a scholarship for the second, to finish
yeah,
the 4 year at
yeah.
again at a private or a Division 3. I don't think anybody had illusions that they were going to go to a Division 3, but interesting, there's a lot of international players that would come over, and that community college was how they could get started. Then they could get seen, then
Yeah,
they actually could
yeah, that
go
makes
on to a better program, right?
yeah. There it was like a stopgap for them. They're like,
Yeah, it was an opportunity that they could get into so
yeah.
that they could get here and then get where they wanted to be.
Well,
So
it
there were
sounds
some
like a
good
great
players.
TV show too because there's so many ways to go, so many stories to tell within that
Yeah, and
world.
I think my problem was in focusing on that particular player, I kind of locked myself into her seasons, which is basically one tennis season, right? Maybe two, and then where do you go? So my mistake was probably not setting it up as here's the world of community
Yeah,
college tennis, and you have coaches and you have players that come in and out. But I was focusing in on, well, my experience. So that was a limit on my vision of how to tell a story. So it kind of ran out of an engine. It was like a limited, you know, type of
limited
series. Not,
series.
yeah, but it works as a feature because you have a natural season,
Yeah,
you have an arc, you have that whole the lead up, you have the three acts
yeah.
kind of tie nicely to playing a season and then getting to the end of the season and then you have the final match
The
and
big
then
match, right?
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
sports trope, right?
Yep, yep. So it starts out, it's more about a woman figuring out that in her mid 50s that maybe she wants to do things differently or
Yeah,
pursue her passion instead of supporting everybody around her. But I realized I rewrote it many times. The end has to be a sports movie. It's a
yeah,
match. You can't have this all in that world and not have some big penultimate event
yeah,
where she, is tested to the brink and it matters to other people. So I ended up rewriting the third act a lot to get
yeah,
the feel of that actual competition
yeah.
and that. So it was kind of a
Yeah.
fun thing. I'm glad to be what I would say done. Uh, and on to other
Well,
projects.
tennis is a popular sport, and there's been a few successful tennis films, right?
Yeah. Oh
The
yeah.
one with the Willie about the Williams sisters with Will Smith, right? That was really
Yeah.
good.
Challenges was kind of popular, although I if you play a sport, I can't imagine your wife coach basically screwing around with your mind that much to basically, if you don't win, I'm dropping you. Who does that in to an
Well,
athlete? If you
a
do
lot of
that,
people do.
Yeah, but I don't think at the level he was supposedly at the top of his pro game. That's why they get rid of coaches all the time. So
Yeah,
it was kind of like yeah, if you're expecting performance out of athlete, you don't give them those ultimatums. So for an actual player, I didn't like it at all, but I thought they covered tennis in some really clever ways.
There-
They even mounted a camera on a tennis racket, which was
yeah, it's
kind of
good.
crazy fun. So
And
I
there's
looked.
The Billie Jean King one, right? With
Oh yeah, the Bob with the Bobby Riggs. Why am I
yeah,
blank
Bobby
on
Riggs
that?
stuff.
Yeah, no, that's actually so there are some it's a genre, right? A subset of
Yeah,
sports genre that um feels like it's could always have a place. And I
yeah,
decided I needed to set it at a specific time because like we talked about how sports this whole thing where they can now get paid. Things have changed
yeah,
even in the 10 years since I played. So I actually saw it, and actually, I guess it's a period piece because I set it in 2015 because I thought I'm going to have problems as time marches on. This is not going to make sense. So
yeah,
I decided I would set it, firmly lock it into a time period so that her arc in her life as a woman who was born in the late 50s or in the early 60s still made sense. So
yeah. Gotcha. Well, it seems like it seems like you're in this exciting world now. Like you're just doing lots of great things, and
I'm
it's
having
amazing.
fun.
Well, that's all that's good because it limits, like, not to say you should have you shouldn't have expectations, but it kind of like makes like it doesn't, you don't have to worry too much, right? If you're having fun, right?
Yeah, and I'm because of being a professor, now I'm semi-retired, I
Yeah,
can treat this as an artistic, creative expression and not
yeah,
be pressured for how am I going to make my bills? So there's a
yeah.
lot of freedom in being able to just do what I'm interested in doing. So I'm very, someone once said, and I think fits perfectly, I'm genre agnostic. I've got a campy horror, I've got a Christmas family movie, I'm
Great.
actually working on a Christmas romance right now. I have that
Agents
action
love
adventure.
that.
Yeah, so I go where there's a fun story that captures my interest and I'm not stuck in any one genre, and I feel like I have the freedom to go where I'm drawn to, again, because I'm not trying to package myself so some manager will take me on as a young
Yeah.
person and build my career.
Well, congratulations on the script. I think it's great. It's a really solid script. So you're definitely
Thank
doing
you.
something right. So all right, that's amazing. So what's so you keep writing and you have another script in the works right now?
Yeah, that's the up or downside is I have several things in the works. A writing friend and I just shot a short that
Okay.
is in post now.
Well,
That's
look at
called
you.
Rep.
Now you're a producer. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I am yeah, it's like okay, that's I'm not sure I want to do that forever, but
Well,
we're
we
in
do film
post on
festivals. Can
that.
you send me the short when it's done? I'd love to see it.
Oh yeah, yeah, we will. We will. It's a of course it's a proof of concept because
Yeah,
we're
of
writing a
course.
feature. We just found out my partner has a manager. She's got a production company who wants to see the script. It's like, we don't have the feature script fully written
Yeah,
yet. But so yeah, that's going on. And then like, I love Hallmark, so I'm determined I'm gonna find a way to write something suitable for Hallmark. So that's why I'm working on a Christmas
yeah.
rom-com and um several other things that are at various stages, which
I
I
just did a,
like bouncing. So
I just did a podcast with somebody who writes Hallmark, like produce like Hallmark movies.
yeah,
Brian,
yeah. So I have met someone who's a writer producer. Then I'm taking this class, and yeah, I just think it's another opportunity, and I'm a fan, so I understand the genre because
yeah,
I've meet people who that's not their genre. They don't get it, so that's okay.
yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Two people from different worlds meet and then they get together in the end, right?
Yeah, and it's comfort food. That's what those things are about. We're not out, we don't need horror and violence and
Yeah.
big dramatic stakes because you watch one because you need your life has that and you want something a little more comfortable and calming. And if you understand that, I think that's a key to working in that genre.
Well, Hallmark is taking the ball and running with it. They're making a lot of money with it because Hollywood's not really making romantic comedies anymore, right? So
Well, and it's like horror and rom-coms, they make hundreds of those a year. I mean,
yeah,
the collective they are is
yeah,
a lot of production going. They're not big budgets, but
yeah.
the need for scripts is much, much bigger.
No,
So,
100%. That's how it is. That's how it works, right? So yeah.
yep, yep.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. I think that, like I said, it's a great idea. I even like the tennis one. You're on. Yeah. I don't think you're genre agnostic. I think you're telling kind of like cutting edge female stories, if I can say that, right?
Yeah, I think you're right because pretty much almost all, like 95% of them, all are putting strong, or a woman who becomes strong. If she isn't
Yeah.
starting strong, that's where she gets. So that is the common
Yeah.
thread. My thing I've thought is obviously I know a little bit of the history of filmmaking, right? It's like for over 100 years, men got to be heroes and do crazy and fun things, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of like, well, let's put some ladies into that mix now, you
But
know?
I do like to see it. I would love to see a Hallmark twist movie where, like, at the end, the woman's like, I don't need to be with you.
I'm
We had a good fling.
gonna do my own thing.
It's
Yeah.
enough for now. Like, go on your way. I don't need you. I can be myself. Don't we need a movie like that? A Hallmark movie? Just like to
They're
throw
evolving,
everybody.
so
Yeah.
they're changing. They might get to that place.
Hopefully, yeah. No, I think it's because it's sort of like because sometimes you're watching like not like I watch a ton, but sometimes you watch these movies like is he really good enough for her? Like, come on,
Ah, yes. Yeah,
handsome,
yeah.
but like that's gonna go away in 5 years, right? So like,
Yes. Yeah. Good point. Good point.
all right. On that note, I'll talk to you soon. I'd love to see your short when it's done, and keep making stuff.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.